The collaboration of Tandis design director Suzanne Tick and creative director Terry Mowers is emerging as an influential force in floor coverings, inspiring new directions for Monterey, CNA, and Crosley. Partners in design and marriage, the couple's relationship is fueled by imagination and a healthy exchange of ideas, which is reflected in products that balance aesthetics, technology, and sustainability. At NeoCon 2006, in a presentation taped before a live audience, Suzanne and Terry provided a glimpse into their unique perspectives on design, sharing moments of inspiration drawn from forms, materials, and colors, along with their thoughts of the future of design.
Architecture has been a huge influence for us, both modern architecture and ancient architecture. We look at the technology that is described in the architecture and in all of the magazines and all of the travel that we've done. And we take that and try to build that into structural elements or luster levels or textures from old architecture and build materials that can feel at home in the environment, in an office environment. So we're always looking at architecture as a stepping stone for us in terms of building materials and how we spin yarns and how we extrude fibers. It's been a very, very important part.
You know, I'd have to say that, you know, we're modernists. You know, we're steeped in structure. Of course, both of our backgrounds, we learned what we know today, our craft, just from the ground up and actually working with it. And you know, we're influenced so much as well by our travel, and as Suzanne said, our spirituality, and we have this wonderful longing for this beauty that's from Asian architecture. You'll see some slides, and of course, this is our travel to Israel earlier this year, which is an incredible experience.
I was fascinated in Israel to see all of these cultures and religions living so close to one another. I had no idea. You know, I grew up Jewish and I thought Jerusalem was all about the Jews. Well, it's not. You know, there are so many cultures that are so close to one another that it was just so fascinating to see how people can coexist with one another. It kind of reminded me of you and me. Asia has been a
lots of conflict.
We've traveled to Asia a lot in the last 10 years, both for textiles and for carpet, and you'll see a thread of that in all of our work.
You know, color is back. It's back in a big, big way, and I'm sure you'll see it at this show. Combination, you know, red is really, really big. Reds and whites, and we feel again it's that dichotomy. You've got the reds associated with blood and war, white, of course, with peace. Black and whites, you're seeing a lot of black is back, black and white, and of course there it's truth or untruth, and there's no lines of ambiguity, and it's either one way or the other.
I think that the concept of lighting has become more and more profound in how we use light. So therefore, when we're thinking of lighting, we're looking at blues and how many different blues there are, and the transparent quality of blues are becoming more and more important, and how we use glass as a building material. That's become a really, really influential color in our work.
And pretty colors. I mean, we see colors that, you know, you just want to use them or want to look at them. We see again, you know, as we talk about a little bit later, you know, objects that are pretty and products that are pretty. So pretty colors. Bronzes
and how we put patinas on colors and acid yellows, acidic colors are going to be really, really strong as accents. This is Pechet's work, and one of the things that I'm really interested in always is how a product dictates color, not how we insert color on a product, but products usually dictate color for us, so we don't force color. Bold colors, I mean, we see stripes all over the place, but bold colors and how we do the juxtaposition of color onto the material.
And of course, we think, you know, a big movement is and we're seeing it in our work, is patinas and colors that are shaded off, or in a sense, you know, faded or oxidized, or you know, in a sense, decayed. So that's a whole new sort of darker mood, but we see that coming to fore.
There's going to be this, what we're calling new noir, which is new charcoals and new blacks tinted with blue. Again, coming from this kind of otherworldly area that I think is depicted by what's going on globally and the process of war. And with the extrusion of new materials and new fibers brings this kind of blurry illumination of color. So there's going to be this kind of soft hue of colors that'll exist for, they're kind of like neutrals that aren't there.
Concrete is the surface of the future, not necessarily horizontally, but also vertically, and very thin and beautiful. We think that it offers a fabulous relationship to you know, carpets, as we see it in our business, where you have the very sleek and the very defined, and also the pile and warmth of carpet.
Muted glass and transparency. This is an extrusion of a monofilament fiber that's just coming down from the wall that acts as a glaze or a wall structure. Will be really important. A lot of what we do is extrude materials that we have metallized pigments going through it. This is a picture of Hard Rock, one of the new panel fabrics. We're always working with luster levels. Bas relief is very important. This was in Barcelona, concrete that's embossed.
You can't say enough about how important metals have been and continue to be, and of course that affects our work in terms of, as Suzanne said, the luster levels. I mean, we really dig working with various luster levels in our product development.
We look at all these different materials, and that's also a starting point for us to develop other things. Micro, Mezzo, Macro was a series of scale studies that we developed to create product that looked like steel. And fiber optics is really an area that we've been trying to work with for about 4 or 5 years, where you take the concept of weaving, which is an old concept from the beginning of time, and then taking a new technology like fiber optics and trying to marry them together. So we're working on three-dimensional structures for a show at the Cooper Hewitt Museum, where there are big moments that are woven flat and then opened up to create light pieces for space and architecture. This is some work for Cambridge Architectural Mesh, where we did exterior work and interior work out of woven steel, and really interesting experience working with them.
And of course, this whole, again, this area relief, this is a product that we saw in Milan, which really was heavy, thick foam, so acoustical material. And again, this overlay, this relief that we see being very important. You're seeing animal patterns and motifs on everything. And again, it's this sort of like, are we, you know, I think designers are sort of going back to their childhood, and it's this fantasy vision in this world that we live in. You know, it's the world outside, unfortunately, we live in today, is there's so much stress and strife that are we starting to go back and think of what we're designing and what we want to be around as more of this fantasy world where we're comforted by that. Black and white, of course, again, you know, taxidermy, you know, is a whole big thing. I mean, we saw antlers and skeletons and all of these things all over the place.
This is Terry's Halloween costume this past year.
They look great. They look great. And here again, ethnic motifs and sort of an animal slant to that. Animals all over the house. Here's an interesting take on the traditional bear rug. You know, not only animals at the table, but animals as tables. So it's just, you know, it's entering our bedrooms and our living rooms at a rapid pace.
We went recently to Chelsea and went through galleries and found this artist that did large textile pieces and had silk embroidery on it and silver embroidery, and they were just so unusual and different. So they became kind of a dialogue that we've talked about with our staffs.
So again, animal forms and motifs on everything, and you know we're already starting to explore some of those areas in our work, and you'll see it in the work of others. We wanted to talk a little bit about fractional luxury and uncommon luxury. We are all in what's termed this time compression, where we're trying to balance this tremendous pressures we all face today at work with the pressures we face in our personal lives and the pressures of family and being a good family member. And that has spawned this whole idea of fractional luxury, and we're really playing off that. It's like, you know, spawned this whole thing of home motels. Steve Case is getting into this whole big new thing with his company, and fractional jet timeshares. So we're a society, we're as wealthy as ever, but we're time poor. So it's all about pieces of luxury and luxury in and around our lives that make us feel comfortable, and we can't afford the time to have it all, but we want pieces.
Lace has been very strong. I know Dorothy used lace in one of her collections this past season, and we use lace in a different way as well. I mean, we look at it harking back from the old, looking at the new. In our Beneath the Surface collection, the Amaranth pattern is a good example of how you could utilize that concept of, you know, taking this old antique quality and creating something technical out of it. So we're constantly looking at that.
And of course, this concept of antique tech, again, you know, we'll talk about it in a minute about the home. It's becoming so very, very important. And again, there's a comfort in things that are familiar. But yet we continue to long for things that are new. So you're starting to see products that are combinations of modern and period times. And in here, you know, is a fabulous. I love this slide where, you know, it's just a beautiful furniture piece, and then this luxurious, you know, Oriental rug, which is fabulous.
Taking a chandelier, and instead of having the chandelier just open like this, you would encase it. So this would be antique tech, where you take it and encase it in a frame. It gives it a totally different kind of new direction for luxury. I like mixing materials where you take Epping glaze or mohairs and then put them with vinyls. To me, that's a different way of looking at old and new together. And again, putting foil wrapping or coating a more decorative chair with a modern finish is what we look at as antique tech. Building materials and building furniture out of cardboard and paper is kind of an area that we're looking at, and how we can take that kind of sustainable material and utilize it in the work that we do. I mean, is paper a product that could be used in a way you know, that will pass codes? Here, there's a whole concept of recycling where you take concrete and you put found objects in them and slice them, and they become a whole wall structure just of containers built into concrete that we find really, really interesting. This is one of Terry's favorite pieces. It's a chair made out of Barbie dolls. He just loves putting his back on the back of it, or his hand on it. His legs are made
I wanted to order it on the spot, but it was a prototype. You know, everything Milan's a prototype, so it's on order. But you know, it's about you know, again, mending things, you know, recycling things that are old into things that are new. You know, here again, just a wonderful example of that. It's not about waste. This new austerity. It's about you know, materials that are familiar.
I think how we look at found objects is interesting. And for me, working for my dad since I was a little kid in the junkyard and finding pieces and making furniture out of them or making pieces out of them is now becoming kind of a rave, at least all over Europe. So it's really interesting to me that the concept of recycling is starting to become more and more profound. As I grew up, we recycled everything. I mean, we had a bin for paper and we had a bin for cans, and it's just been second nature for us. I think that this is an area that I think we could all work on more and more in our lives in terms of recycling and being very conscious with the materials that we look at. So there's a dichotomy, we feel, that's going on between modern and luxury and decoration and non-decoration. And we really feel that we've gone through this phase of very austere modern visions, and it's going to become more and more decorative and ornamentation, but with some restraint. So it's a mixture of foil wrapping materials and creating more decorative elements in material. In textiles, we feel the same, that you take the kind of the Asian influence of dye techniques, and you add this new embroidery or this new hand-done quality to things, and really create a new direction in textile design. So we're excited to see how this is going to play itself out.
And then this whole concept, you know, this concept that Suzanne will talk about, that's termed Dadaism.
I think we're just constantly being influenced by so much information and data that's just kind of coming in at us. So a lot of products that you're seeing are all about letters and images and overlaying of so much information that it just turns into this jumble of too much information almost.
We're entering this world of you know, creativity and the creative force, which we're all a part of, and that industry is going to really be very, very strong. And of course, this whole concept we feel of re-enlightenment, where various fields, and science is touching art, and art is touching design, and you see all of these areas melding together, and of course this term of re-enlightenment, like what happened in the 17th and 18th centuries of enlightenment. And you know, it's this whole term of the white-collar worker being replaced by the black-collar worker, and those that are creative in their work. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.